Is Liner and Naftali Liner not there yet? You're going to get offended if we start without him? Landau, what do you say?
He's definitely going to get offended, but that's why I think we should start.
Okay, at least he should know we asked about it. That's right. As long as he knows we asked about it.
We'll tell him that you mentioned his name. I think everything will be fine.
Okay, good.
The parents came without pants yesterday, and now his son comes out without a shirt.
Huh?
You're lucky they're taking turns, okay?
The parents came without pants, and now his son
Wearing
comes
the shirt, it's just open.
Listen, any form of dress on anybody in Peretz's family, we will take. Okay,
Parents is
ready?
getting his smell back, so.
Okay, I think we're going to go a little bit slow tonight because this next Mishna, and every day I say this one is the most important thing in the Gemara Shabbos, but this next Mishna is very, very
Yeah, how long do you think we're going to fall for that? You're like, oh, pay attention. This is the
well,
most
you look like
thing.
you already fell because you're in your bed. So, okay.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You see,
By
I
the
knew
way,
I should have put you saw, that's why I didn't put my video on.
my daughter-in-law's like, what do you mean people are in bed doing the shear? I'm like, no, really, it's not that bad, I promise you.
Happy people
It's
are
only Landau.
Did you
I fall asleep to Sviako's voice every night.
Did
There
you
you
tell her
go.
that you go to shear in shorts?
She's okay with that. What happens under the table is my business.
Yeah. Oh, boy, yeah.
Oh, I love this place.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so this is very important because it has to do with Kli Rishon and Kli Sheni, right? That's really, and I imagine most of you guys drink coffee on Shabbos, so therefore these are the halachos of Kli Rishon, Kli Sheni, right? So ilfas, a pot, right? Well, a kedera is a pot. A ilfas is more like a frying pan. A ilfas of a kedera, we're on the bottom line of the Chaf Memez Amud Aleph. A ilfas of a kedera, right? A frying pan and a pot sheviron mirusachin that you remove them from the fire when they're boiling hot. You cannot put spices into them. Why? Because that's called a Kli Rishon, right? You took the pot off the fire. Now you want to put spices into it. You're not allowed to because that's Kli Rishon. The Kli Rishon cooks. Aval, meaning if it was on the fire, there's no question that it cooks because it's on actual fire. That's no different than putting it straight in the fire. This is when you removed it from the fire, but it's still in the original pot that it cooked in. So therefore, it is mevashel. Kli Rishon is a vashel without a question. But you can take the spices and put it into a kar as a plate, or a tamchui is like a serving plate, right? Why? Because that's Kli Sheni, right? That's Kli Sheni, and the rule is that a Kli Sheni doesn't cook. Fine.
I just want to keep this question in the back of your head. They told, I think it was the 39 Halachos book, Sfarim, that say you can't do pepper in like soup on Shabbos. So keep that in the back of your head.
I know, but which soup in what form?
Once you put it in your bowl.
He says you can't put pepper in your bowl?
I have to go over it again, but I haven't.
That's a big chumrah. Okay, we're gonna get.
I haven't been putting pepper in my soup for 10 years. You better change that.
Yeah, they say not to put pepper in soup anyway.
It's no. We'll see. We're gonna see now because
that's because your wife was watching you.
Like she cares.
Anyway, so that's the first sheet. Now Rabbi Yehuda says lachol hu noisen. You can put it into everything chutz midavar sheyesh b'chayim tzitzir, unless the pot has vinegar or brine, which are sharp, and that will cook. So Rabbi Yehuda says you can put spices into anything except that it has vinegar or brine. Now the question is going to be: is Rabbi Yehuda going on the reisha, and therefore he's being more lenient, or is Rabbi Yehuda going on the seifa? And he's being strict, meaning is Rabbi Yehuda talking about a Kli Rishon. He says, no, you can put anything into a Kli Rishon, except if the Kli Rishon has chametz and seer. Or is Rabbi Yehuda going on the Seifa, and he's saying, even in a Kli Sheni, you can't put anything into it. Okay? Now,
Sorry, I'm late. Where are you up to? I came in late.
Hey, sorry, you're late.
Sorry.
Yeah, we were thinking to wait for you, but we decided
I know, I'm sorry.
not. Anyways, we're on the Gemara Chaf Beis on the Beis. We're up to Gemara. Now,
okay.
before we continue, there's the Gemara, the Mishna seems to be skipping one step, right? What about Irui of Kli Rishon? Right? The Mishnah discusses Kli Rishon and Kli Sheni. What about Irui of Kli Rishon? right? Now, what's irui of a kli rishon? Irui of a kli rishon is when you pour something from a kli rishon, meaning if you say that irui kli rishon is like a kli sheni, then maybe you could just take the water from the urn and put it right into a cup of tea, let's say, or coffee, and that would be irui of a kli rishon. If irui of a kli rishon, the pouring of a kli rishon is like a kli sheni, then you could just pour it straight into a cup with coffee or tea in it. But if you say irui kli rishon is like a kli rishon, so then it's not. So now this long taisus here to the right, which we won't do, don't get nervous, is what taisus is discussing, and there's a diak from the Reisha that sounds like irui of a kli rishon is not a problem. That's like a kli sheni because it skips straight to kli sheni. But then from the Sefer, that it just talks about kli sheni, so then it's mashma that irui of a kli rishon is like a kli rishon. Okay, whatever. That's something to keep in mind, that irui kli rishon is an issue of how we look at it. Okay, so now Zok the Gemara. So again, we're trying to figure out if Rabbi Yehuda is going on a kli rishon or a kli sheni. So they asked the question, Rabbi Yehuda, a reisha kai? Is Rabbi Yehuda going on the Reisha, and he's saying a leniency, meaning that the Reisha says that you can't put spices into a Kli Rishon, right? And Rabbi Yehuda is saying, no, you can put it into a Kli Rishon, but not if it has brine in it or vinegar. Or he's going on the Sefer, which is a Kli Sheni, and he's saying you can't, if the Kli Sheni has brine in it, then you're not allowed to put it into a Kli Sheni, and the Tanna Kama holds you can do that. It's in a chumrah.
If Rabbi Yehuda is going on the Sefer, wouldn't he come after Chutz Midvar and then Rabbi Yehuda?
No, that's part of Rabbi Yehuda. That is Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is Rabbi Yehuda talking.
So how's it on this? What part of the Sefer is it?
The Sefer is he going on Kli Sheni or is he going on Kli Rishon?
Okay.
If he's going on the Sefer, if he's going on Kli Sheni, so then he's being more machmer. If he's going on Kli Rishon, then he's being more mekel. So Tashema, the Tanya Yehuda, lachol fasten hu noisen. You could put it into all frying pans. Hu noisen lachol kederis roischis hu noisen. You could put it into any pots that have boiling water in it. Chutz midavar sheyesh b'chametz tzir, except something that has vinegar and tzir. So clearly, Rabbi Yehuda is arguing with the Tanna Kama, and he's coming to be more mekel, and he says you could put spices into even on a pot that's in a Kli Rishon. Fine, end of that. Now, this next thing is very important for what Simon was talking about and whether you're allowed to add salt to your soup. Okay, so Savar of Yosef Lemema. Pepper and even salt, right? Well, we'll see. Savar of Yosef Lemema. Rabbi Yosef thought to say, Melach hareu ketavim. Salt is the same din as spices. The Kli Rishon bishla, that in a Kli Rishon it cooks, or the Kli Sheni la bishla, and a Kli Sheni it does not cook. Right? Amalei Abaya, Tani, Reb Chia, Melach, Eina Ketavim. But Reb Chia said that salt is not like spices. The Kli Sheni, Nami Bishla. Because salt gets cooked even in a Kli Sheni. Okay? Upliga the Reb Nachman, and he disagrees with Reb Nachman. Though Reb Nachman, Tzricha Milcha Bishula, Kibisra the Torah. Reb Nachman, he disagrees with Reb Nachman, because Reb Nachman says that salt is as hard to cook as meat is. And just like meat takes a long time to cook, so salt also does, so therefore salt is certainly not going to cook in a Kli Sheni. So now according to this first version of the Gemara, okay, again, I want to do this slow to make sure we understand it, that according to this first version of the Gemara, salt cannot be added to a Kli Sheni because it cooks fast. And that would disagree with what Reb Chia said, who says that you could even add salt to a Kli Rishon because it won't cook. That's the first version of the Gemara. V'ikad Amri, and there are those that say, Savar Rabbi Yosef Lemema. Rabbi Yosef thought to say, Melach hareu ketavlin. Melach, salt is like spices. The Kli Rishon bishla, the Kli Sheni like bishla. So far the same thing. Amalei Abaya, Tani Reb Chia, Melach eina ketavlin. Salt is not like tavlin. The Kli Rishon nami like bishla, that in a Kli Rishon it also doesn't cook. V'hainu damar Rav Nachman, and that is in agreement with Rav Nachman. Tzricha milcha bishula kibisa b'tura. That salt needs to be cooked the same way meat needs, right? So that's what that's the machlokes in the Gemara. Okay, so again, according to the first version of the Gemara, salt is much easier to cook, and according to the second version of the Gemara, salt you can put even into a Kli Rishon. Okay, now how do we paskin? Now it can make a big difference how we paskin, right? If you go
is
with
this our salt or a different type of salt?
Oh, okay, so we're going to get to that. Okay, so now first of all, Taisus, look at the Taisus, the second Taisus on the daf. L'chal kederes roiskos hu noisin, right? Nira, the dafka, the tavlin polik. He's only disagreeing. Actually, this goes on the previous Gemara, but it's still an important Taisus. He's only disagreeing by spices. Al bashar devarim moed the klirisha mevashal akash eviram me'ala or. But everything else, Rabbi Yehuda agrees that anything is going to cook, even in a kli rishon. So again, Rabbi Yehuda, this is going on Rabbi Yehuda, that we said Rabbi Yehuda ends up disagreeing with the rishon. He says kli rishon is not going to be mevashal, but that's only going on spices. Everything else it will cook. So coffee, tea, and all that in a kli rishon is out, even according to Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, but now the next Taisus is very important. This is what Reb Nachman is saying. Again, there's two versions of the Gemara. According to the first version of the Gemara, salt is not allowed to be added even to a klisheni. And according to the second version of the Gemara, that it could be added. Okay? Yeah? So near the afla the pirish hakuntris, shapirish, even according to Rashi, who explained the b'chol makom the ikal lishna the pligi b'shel taira halach achar machmer. This is also a very interesting rule that we get from Rashi. Right, it's not Rashi here, right? But he's saying, and Rashi holds that anytime there's a machlokes that has to do with a deraisa, which is what we're talking about here, it's bishul, halach achar machmer. We go after the one who's strict, right? Safek deraisa, everybody knows the rule. Safek deraisa is l'chumra. Ubashal seifrim halach achar acharon, right? Everybody knows the rule that the safek dirabanan, you go l'kula. That's not Rashi's opinion. Rashi's opinion is that by dirabanan you go after the last opinion. So whoever was the last opinion, that's who you go with, right? You mean
the latest opinion, meaning the latest or the last referenced opinion?
What the last? What do you mean? What's enough kamina?
Meaning
like me and you as opinion?
No, like Rava, let's say, was from the later Amar, so he passed in like Rava.
No, means no. The latest historically.
That's what I mean. Not like this.
The one. No, right, not the one. As far as I know, it's the one whose opinion came later.
Right.
It doesn't mean that we go with all Ikud Amris.
Lav dafka.
Right, okay,
no, exactly. That was what I'm saying. We don't go with always the Ikud Amri.
No, we'll go with the achrons. Right. No, that's a good point, sir. It's a good point. But Rabbeinu Tam says the more common, which is that with the Rabbanan you go after the Meko. This is the major rule. Anytime you have an Ikud Amri, the Ikud Amri is the tuffle. It's not the main point. Lagabi Lashon Rishon Shehu Ikr. The Lashon Rishon is the Ikr. But Hacha Halacha Kalishna Basra. But here the Halacha is like the last one, which is that salt can be put into even a Kli Rishon. Right? Into a cliche. The Lishna Kama, Palik Braisa, the Reb Chia, the Reb Nachman. The Lishna Basra, Hainu, the Reb Nachman. Right? Because why? If you go with the first version, then Reb Nachman and Reb Chia having a machlokes. You go with the second version, then they're both in agreement.
This is adding salt to the food, or this is just cooking the salt by itself?
No, adding salt to food in a cliche.
Just adding salt to the food. Okay. Yeah. So we do it so adding salt to the chum. That's basically what
exactly. Well, to chum once it's on your plate. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So we're going to get to the right. When we talk kach.
Well, why would chum make a difference if it's on your plate?
No, because it got to be in a cliche. We're not talking about a
cliche. Is chum the davar gush?
Well, that's a different story. We'll get to that. When we talk kach, pasuk Rabbeinu Shmuel, shemuta loses melach betashul b'Shabbos. So based on that, Rabbeinu Shmuel says that if you're allowed to put salt into your cooked food on Shabbos, afilu b'kli rishon sheviru min ha'or. He says that even once you take the chum, let's say you take the crock pot off the fire, Rabbeinu Shmuel paskins, you're allowed to add salt to that crock pot, even in the crock pot itself, because it's removed from the fire. Good. So it sounds like this is very meko. Someone who's strict, like the first version, not to put salt into a pot. Okay, there went the good news. Okay, so Tais is saying, if you want a bracha, then don't add salt even to a kli sheni. Okay.
So Rabbi Levi from Monsey, my Shver's Rav,
Yeah.
He told us that diamond crystal salt
Is
is already cooked.
Okay, so that's what we're going to get to in a second.
Well, the kosher one?
We're going to get to that in
Or
a second.
all of it?
Anyway, so how does Shulchan Aruch paskin? Obviously, we're not taking out Shulchan Aruch. So we already spent enough time on this, right? But
It's saying that the double bracha.
What?
It's saying double bracha not to put spices into cholent into soup. That's a double bracha.
Salt only. Salt only. Salt only. Right?
Not to add salt into a hot food.
Hot
Into
sauce
hot
is okay
food.
though, right?
What? Yes.
Hot sauce is okay though, right?
Hot sauce is okay, especially if you put it in your cereal, Simon. Right?
And even into your bowl of
cholent.
soup or your bowl, which is a cliche already.
Okay, so we're going to get to that. So Shulchan Aruch, the Shulchan Aruch paskins like Tosfos that you could add salt to the klisheni and even to a kli rishon that you removed from the fire. Then the Ramah brings the second opinion of Tosfos that you should get a bracha, and the Mishnah Berurah says that it's better to go like that. The Mishnah Berurah then says that many salts nowadays are already pre-cooked. So since they're pre-cooked, you can really even add into a kli rishon. However, some want to tell you that nowadays they're not pre-cooked, they're dehydrated, so it doesn't mean that they're cooked. They're really
Only mine.
Only what?
Sea salt is all pre-cooked. Mined salt is not.
Okay, is that what it goes? Okay, so you have to look in. Okay, very good. So you have to go into each particular salt.
Sea salt, oil to get out the salt.
Right. So okay, so then you have to get into that to see which types of salt. However, even the ones that are cooked, the Mishnah Berurah says it's better not to. So the point is it's better not to add salt to a klisheni. Now, here's where it gets a little bit more practical. Most people don't take from their crock pot and pour it into the serving bowl. Well, let's go with that. Let's say you're putting it onto your own plate. So it went from the crock pot to a serving bowl and then into your plate. That's already a kli shlishi. If it's a kli shlishi, then for sure you could rely on the makilim, and kli shlishi is not mavashal, even though kli shlishi is also not so simple, right? But let's say you put the crock pot.
Is the ladle in between a factor?
Very good, Aaron Dog. Very good. That's what we're going to do now. There is a machlokes whether, let's say you take the crock pot, put it to the dining room table, and you're scooping straight out into everybody's plate straight from the crock pot, right? So now you're taking it with a ladle. So now, is that ladle considered a kli sheni? And then you're putting it onto your plate, so it's a kli shlishi. So that's a big machlokes. So the poskim say that for this, which is a machlokes, you can combine the leniencies and say, for this, we could say that the ladle is a kli sheni, and now your plate is a kli shlishi, and then you could add the salt to it, no problem, even if the salt was not cooked.
Would you
right?
Which
is the practical halacha, and I would say the same thing by spices. Simon, I would say the same thing by spices. Unless you say that a cholent is a davar gush, which Sorrel just mentioned. Davar gush is something that's thick, like a potato or meat. It's considered like a kli rishon automatic, but that's a chumrah. It's not meaacha din. And the part that people forget about is that when the davar gush is in something that's liquid, then it's considered like liquid. It's not considered davar gush. So it really depends on how thick your cholent is. Most people's
But for
cholents,
sure,
I
to
would
the
say,
pot itself, you shouldn't be adding, right?
What?
If I taste the soup itself and say I need salt, to add it directly to the pot, that I shouldn't be doing.
Correct. Although if you take the pot off the fire, then meaacha din would be allowed. So if the wife is the one that made the soup, but she's very stressed out that there's no salt and et cetera, et cetera. So there is what to be made with. If you're having guests and all that, take it off the fire, put in, but then you have to have a blech in order to put it back on. So that would be, you got to make sure you have that in place.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you good?
Make a blech on Shabbos, no?
You can make a blech on Shabbos, yes. Just unless it's going to get red hot. Okay, so that was that. I thought it was worthwhile to do this. Now we start Hilchos Muktza. And the rest of the parak from here on out, we're in Hilchos Muktza. Okay, so ain't nice and kli tachas and ner lekabel v'yis Hashem. So let's say you have your candelabra, right, or your oil lamp or whatever it is, and it's dripping oil. So can you put a pot under it in order to collect the oil? Or a more practical application would be if your air conditioner is leaking on Shabbos, can you put a pot there in order to collect the water from the air conditioner? All right, so ain't nice and kli tachas and ner lekabel v'yis Hashem, and you are not allowed to put a kli under the fire, under the candle, in order to catch all the oil. But if you put it there from Friday, then it's going to be allowed. However, you're not allowed to benefit from it because it was not considered muchan, because it was muktza. since you didn't plan on using that from before Shabbos, so therefore it's a new entity on Shabbos, so therefore it's muktza, so you're not allowed to use it. Okay? So now, Amar chisda.
Ever or just on Shabbos?
What? No, just Shabbos. Just
Just
Shabbos.
Shabbos. Shabbos, you can use it.
Yeah, Matzah Shabbos you use it. Yeah. Thank you. Amar chisda. Even though we said that you can't put a kli under a tarnagolis in order to be makabel the egg, avakaifa a kli shalai tishaber. But meaning, so we have the same halacha. Can you take if the rooster is going to lay an egg and that egg is going to get smashed or it's going to roll down the hill or whatever it is? So can you take a pot and put it under the rooster, or put anything to catch that egg so that it doesn't
A hen, a rooster doesn't lay
I'm
eggs.
sorry, you're right. I knew there was something wrong when it came out of my mouth, but okay, it's good. At least you're paying attention. Thank you. Yeah. Ain't nice than a kli tachas. But I probably make the mistake again tonight, so just feel free to yell out and tell me. Okay. Ain't nice than kli tachas tarnagolis the kalvitza. So even though you're not allowed to put a kli under the hen, yeah. Okay. To makabel the egg, avakaifa kli shalei tishaber. So you're not allowed to put the pot under it, but what you can do is once it lays its egg, you can take a pot and put it over the egg so that nobody steps on the egg. They'll step on the pot, and the pot will protect the egg. Amar Rabba, my time of the Rav Chisda. Why does Rav Chisda say his din? Because tarnagolis asuyu lahalta b'tzasa ba'ashba. A tarnagolis, it will lay its egg in a garbage dump. Ve'ena asuyu lahalta b'tzasa b'makam midran. And it's not normally going to lay its egg in a place that has a midran is a slant, meaning like on a hill where the egg is going to roll down and get broken. Hatzalah that's common, we're going to allow it to do. Meaning, so in the ashba, we're afraid that it's going to get smashed. So that's something normal. That's a normal place for it to lay its egg. So therefore, you're allowed to cover it. But if it would be just to roll down the hill, that's an abnormal thing. And you would not be allowed to do that. Meaning, again, the pshat is that it's something common, then we'd allow you to move the pot for it, but otherwise you're not. So Eisvei Abaya, Hatzalah Sheina Mitzuya Lo Yatiru, and Hatzalah that's not common, we're not going to allow. Vatanya, now the Gemara is going to ask a bunch of questions. Vatanya Nishbar Lechavis Shel Tevel, B'Rosh Gaga, right? So if you have a barrel of Tevel again is food that was not food, but fruits that no meiser and truma was taken off of it. So that is muktza, because you can't eat it, because you're not allowed to take off truma and meiser on Shabbos. So that food is muktza. But let's say it got broken, that barrel, and you don't want to lose all your stuff. So then can you put another pot under it in order to catch it? Now again, you're trying to catch muktza, which is the same issue with the egg and same issue with the oil. Again, Vatanya Nishbar Lechavish Shel Tevel B'Rosh Gaga on top of your roof, maybe kli or maniach tachteo. You could put a kli under it. Begulfi chadati. So sorry. So that's the Gemara's kasha. So why are you allowed to do that? It's not common for barrels to bust of Tevel. It's not a common thing. Yet you're allowed to put a kli there to catch it. So Gemara answers begulfi chadati teshchichi tepaki. You know, it's talking about a brand new barrel. That brand new barrels are not broken in, so therefore they break easily. So therefore it's almost expected. So since you were expecting it, it's not really muktza. Gemara has another kasha. You're allowed to put a kli under a ner in order to be makabel the sparks, not the oil. Like it's sparking, right? So you don't want it to land make a fire. So you're allowed to put it there to catch the sparks. So the kasha is that's also not something common. Why are you allowed to put something there to catch muktza? So Gemara answers, sparks are also common. So therefore, since sparks are common, that's not considered muktza. You're allowed to put a pot on top of a candle that it doesn't catch onto the ceiling. Yeah. So when it answers, because it's talking about a very low ceiling, that it's very common for it to get burned with flames from your candles that are hanging or whatever it is. So therefore, since it's common, it's not considered muktza. Now another case, a beam shenishbara. Let's say a beam fell off your roof, so you don't want it to totally fall to the floor. So what you could do is you take a bench and lean that fallen beam on top of the bench, or aruchas amita, or on the bedposts of a bed. So why are you allowed to do that? You're catching muktza because the beam is built into the house. That's muktza. The one answer is again, it's talking about a new roof, where new roofs need time to get settled in, and therefore it could get broken. Fine. Then the Gemara says another case. Nice and kli tachas adela b'Shabbos. That's what we were discussing before. You put a kli under dripping water to catch it on Shabbos. So the Gemara answers, but it's a brand new house, so you don't know if the roof is perfectly good yet. So it's common to have dripping, so then that's why you're allowed to do it. That's one pshat in why Rav Chisda allows you to cover the egg with a pot, and that was because something that's common you're allowed to do it, but if it's not common you're not allowed to do it. Rav Yosef has a different pshat. Rav Yosef Amar, Hainu time of the Rav Chisda. The reason for Rav Chisda that the reason why Rav Chisda allows you to take an egg and cover it over with a pot is Mishna to come about the kli meaacha. What you're doing is you're taking a kli and you're being mevatel it from what it's normally meant to do, right? Because what's a pot for? A pot is normally to cook in. Now you're taking this pot and you're covering the egg with it. Now the egg can't move because the egg is muktza because it was just not hatched. It was just laid on Shabbos. So it wasn't in existence before Shabbos. So therefore it's muktza. So basically what you're doing is you're taking a pot that's not muktza and you're putting it on top of an egg and it's going to have to stay there. So that's called being mevatel kli meaacha. You're taking the kli and you're being mevatel it from what it's normally able to do, and you're making it muktza the whole Shabbos. So that you're not allowed to do, and that's why you wouldn't be able to cover over. That's why you can cover it over, because that's not being mevatel, because you can always just take the pot off the egg. Again, let me just reiterate because I didn't say it clearly. Rav Chisda said that you can't put a pot under an egg to catch it, but you can put a pot over the egg. So Rav Yosef was saying the reason for the difference is because when you put it under the egg, you will no longer be able to move that pot the whole Shabbos because it's got an egg in it that's muktza. But if you put it over the egg, then it's okay because you could just move that pot whenever you want, right? Fine. So now the Gemara is going to ask a bunch of kashas like it just asked. Maybe like we said before, a barrel of tevel that broke, you're allowed to bring a kli and put it under it. Now tevel is muktza. No, tevel is not muktza because it is prepared. Because if you made a mistake and you didn't know that it was tevel, or no, you knew it was tevel, but you made a mistake and you took off the trumas and on Shabbos, b'di'evet it would work. So therefore, it's not muktza. You're allowed to put it to be makabel the ner. You're allowed to put a kli under a ner to be makabel sparks. Nitzaitis have nothing to it, so therefore it's not considered being mevatel to kli and making it muktza. So then that's also kasha. Aren't you making you won't be able to move your bed the whole Shabbos. The rafi, so we're saying where you put it loosely on the bed. Then if you wanted, you could really move it. It's meaning it's not tight. The beam of the roof is not tight on there. So theoretically, you could move the bed out if you wanted to. You can put it under dripping water. Isn't that going to make it muktza? So you say bedela faroy. It's talking about with drips that are roy that you could do something with the water. Theoretically, you can drink the water, whatever it is. Kaifin as a sal. Now we have a different question that we didn't ask before. Kaifin as a sal of nea freichen sheyal v'yardu. We know the halacha is that you're allowed to. Let's say your chicks are having a hard time getting into their cage. So what you can do is you can take a basket, turn it over, and let them jump onto the basket, and then they'll be able to reach their cage. So you're allowed to do that on Shabbos. Kasavar, so you see that's being mevatel. Kasavar mutal l'tatalei. So he says, no, you're allowed to take it. You would be allowed to take it. It's not going to become muktza, the basket. Oh, but Tanya also l'tatalei. We learned in the brayso that it's also the tatalei. But I don't love it. So it's only also to take the basket when the roosters because they are on it. Then it's muktza because balei chaim, anything that's alive is muktza. But once they jump off, then you can take it. Oh, but Tanya also we have a brayso that says even when the chicks are not on there, it's issur. That's only when it was on there the entire ben hashmoshes from shkia until nightfall of Friday night. Why? Because since we have this rule, right? There's another important rule that we have to know. Once something's muktza, the whole ben hashmoshes, and it stays muktza the whole Shabbos. Right? So when the chicks are on there, the whole ben hashmoshes, they hung out there for like a half hour, 40 minutes, then that basket's going to be muktzah the whole Shabbos. If they were not on there, bein hashmashas, and they were just on there, for a little bit Shabbos morning, then only when they're on there it's a problem. When you take it off, then it's not a problem. Okay, so Amar Rav Yitzchak, Shem Shein Noisen Kli Tachas Tarnagolas the Kav B'Tzasa, just like you're not allowed to put a kli under a hen, yeah, under a hen to be makabel the egg. Kach and kaifin ala kli b'shvil shaloi tishavar. You're not allowed. Right? He disagrees. You're not allowed to put a kli on top of it so that it doesn't break. Kasavar ain't kli nittel elo the davar nittel b'Shabbos, because he has a different rule, which is you're not allowed to use a kli only for something that's normally going to be used for on Shabbos. Meaning a pot you could take to put food in it. You cannot take a pot for something that's muktza. Okay, that's a new rule.
Wouldn't there be a problem, Sviakov, when we're talking about at least the egg, right? And it's on a hill and they're worried about it rolling down the incline. If you're not allowed to put an egg or let an egg drop into the pot, but you put it over and it's leaning up against the pot as an incline, isn't that an issue?
You mean how is it in the mitzvah? It's just how's it going to protect it?
Say one more time.
You're just asking how is it going to protect it? It's just it's
no. Meaning if you're allowed to take it on and off theoretically over Shabbos, right? This kli that you put over, you invert it and put over so that the egg doesn't roll down the hill.
Right.
Like this. Like if you can see my thing, right? If this is the egg and it's in the pot's over here, it's leaning up against the pot. It's there to stop it from rolling. It's the same concept as if it were in the pot and it was sitting in the pot. No? What do you mean? Like,
yeah, so what I'm saying, so what are you saying? So here he's saying it's muktza. This Rav Yitzchak is saying it's muktza. Right? No, you're right. Rav Chisda says it's not muktza. Right?
I'm getting confused on the egg thing. I don't know.
Well, what's the problem?
I got a lot of problems. Eggs are one.
Okay, we'll discuss it afterwards then, yeah? We'll discuss it afterwards. Okay, so Rav Yitzchak has a different opinion that you're not allowed to move it. You're only allowed to use a pot or anything for what it's intended to use, not for something unintended. So Meisvei Kol Hani Tiyufta. We have all these kashas, right? 5-6 kashas that we asked. They would all be a kasha in this because all these things you're using a pot for what they were not intended to do. Oh, so now we have a different teretz. We're going to answer that it's all those cases, as far-fetched as this answer seems, all those cases are talking about where you needed the spot where the pan was, meaning when the water was dripping from the ceiling or the oil was dripping or the sparks were dripping, you needed to move. Let's say that pot was sitting on your dining room table and you had to get it off because you wanted to set the table for something else. Good, so you took the pot off the table. Now it's in your hand. Now, once it's in your hand, you're allowed to move it to whatever you want. That was all those cases. But yes, the Gemara is saying, but to go to your pantry or to go to your cabinets and take out a pot from there, then you would not be able to do it. Or again, it's a far-fetched answer, but that's what it's saying. All these cases are talking about where you needed the place where the pot was, and therefore once you had it in your hand, then you're allowed to move wherever you want. Okay? So Tashima, whether we're talking about an egg that hatched or got laid on Shabbos or whether it got laid on Yom Tov, you're not allowed to take it, not to use the egg as a cover for a pot, right? Or to use it to lean a bed against it. But you are allowed to take a pot and cover it in order that it shouldn't break. So, this is a kasha. We just got finished saying, according to Rabbi Yitzchak, you're not allowed to move it because that's not the intended use of a pot. So the Gemara answers again, this is also talking about where you needed the spot. Fine. Tashima, another kasha. Parson matzalas l'gabi havana b'Shabbos. You're allowed to spread out a matzalas is a, how do you say matzalas? A mat. A mat on top of stones on Shabbos. So a mat is not intended to protect stones on Shabbos. The mat is meant to lay on. So the Gemara answers, it's talking about for smooth stones that you can use those stones to clean yourself in the bathroom. So therefore, those stones are not muktza on Shabbos. So therefore, you're not moving this mat for something that's muktza.
Do those stones have to be designated before Shabbos, or it's just understood that smooth stone?
Right, it's a good question. We're going to get to that. We'll get to that later on if those need designation or
Can
not later on today, but when we do muktza properly.
Can we just
What?
circle back? And they're talking about using bricks to clean themselves on Shabbos.
See that, Haj Simon? You could never walk away, man. You never know what you're gonna miss.
Actually,
Yes,
since we've been having a toilet paper issue, that people are talking about that again.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
Ain't nothing new under the sun, you know.
Well, anyways, yes, smooth stones is what they use to wipe themselves in the bathroom. So those stones are not muktza. Right? So Rabbi Yeshua is asking, is that considered do you need to dedicate those stones before Shabbos, or they're considered automatically dedicated? Right? So by the way, they reuse them. So if they were used before, then for sure they're considered they're not muktza. The other ones, it's a little bit of an issue, but we'll get to that. Yeah, so that's one kasha. Tashima, parsim matzalas agabi levayin b'Shabbos. You're allowed to, again, another case of spreading a mat on top of stones on Shabbos, again, which stones are muktza, so that's not the intended thing, and it's intended for muktza, you're not allowed to cover it. So Gemara answers, it's leftover bricks from building the chazin lemizgalayim, so you could use them to lean on them. Like the workers lean on the bricks when they're eating lunch or whatever it is, so that's what you'd be able to do with them, so therefore it's not muktza. Tashma, parsim matzalas agabi kaveres devarim b'Shabbos. You're allowed to spread out a mat on top of a honeycomb on Shabbos. If it's in the summer because of the heat, so you want to protect it from the sun, and if it's in the winter, because of the rain. As long as you didn't have kavanah to trap the bees in there when you put the mat around over the honeycombs, then you got to make sure you don't have kavanah to trap it. So whatever it is, the honeycomb's also muktza. So Gemara answers, no, this is talking about where there's actually honey in the honeycomb. So therefore, there's honey in the honeycomb, it's not muktza. That's good in the summer when it actually gives off honey. The ikadvash, where there's going to be honey. But in the rain, in the rainy season, in the winter, the lekadvash, there's no honey. What are you going to say? It's going to be muktza. It's going to answer, it's for those two chalas. There's always, it leaves over the honeycomb for them to leave. They leave over a little bit of honey in the main two honeycombs for them to live a whole winter. So that's what we're talking about, covering over. So that for sure has honey in it. Muktzas ninu, right? But those are muktza, right? Meaning they're not meant for you to eat the honey. They're there for the bees to live off that honey the whole winter. So you're not going to go take that honey because then your bees are going to die. The chashav alive, so the Gemara says, no, that because you thought about it. Meaning you said, I am going to take the honey from before Shabbos. So therefore, it was no longer muktza. But if you didn't think about it before, then it would be issur. If that's the case, this that we said, as long as you didn't have kavanah to trap it, right? We said you're allowed to cover it over as long as you don't have kavanah to trap the bees. Lift like the list of it. Why don't you separate it and learn by that halacha and say, when is this when are you allowed to do this? That's only when you thought about using the honey from Friday. But if you didn't think about using the honey from Friday, then it would be issur, right? So the Gemara says, no, and no, the Gemara is telling you that even if you did think about it, we still want to tell you that you got to make sure you don't trap it for a different reason, having nothing to do with muktza. You want to make sure that you don't trap the bees. So now, hopefully, the Olam remembers the machlokes that we constantly have money. So who is this opinion like? Reb Shimon, less like muktza. If it's going to Reb Shimon doesn't hold the muktza at all. So what's the problem? And Reb Yehuda, and if we're saying that the brayso is Reb Yehuda, even if you don't have kavanah, who cares? Also, we know Reb Yehuda holds that even if you do something unintentional, like dragging the bench, right? That's the classic case, dragging the bench and you're going to make holes. Reb Yehuda holds, even if you have no intention making the holes, but if it's going to make holes, it's going to be issur. So again, if it's Reb Shimon in our brayso, there's no muktza issue at all according to Reb Shimon because he doesn't hold a muktza. And if it's Reb Yehuda holds even an unintended consequence is a problem. So who's it like? So then the Gemara says, La'ilam Reb Yehuda. Really, it's Reb Yehuda. So what does it mean to make, as long as you make sure you don't have kavanah to trap it? You shouldn't make it like a trap. You should put a little bit of space. Meaning, don't put the mat directly on top of the honeycomb so that it's laying against it. No, you know for sure that the bees are going to get trapped. Leave a little bit of space, and then memela you are going to have. You won't automatically trap. Right? That's the second shot in Rav Chisda why you're not allowed to cover over. Why you're not allowed to put a pot under the eggs. Rav Ashi has his own shot. Mikatani be Yemaisa Chama, Yemaisa Kshamim, Becham b'nei Acham, Kshamim b'nei Kshamim, Katani be Yamin Nisan, Yamin Tishrei, Ika Chama, Ika Tzina. Right? Rav Ashi is saying no, it's a different thing. He's saying it's not. It doesn't say during the sun and during 1 second. Rav Ashi, I'm sorry, no, he's not going over because he's just going back to explain this case, which does cut back to Rav Chisda, but. He's explaining this case that does it say that it happened in the summer and in the winter? It says in the sun because of the sun, and in the rain because of saying in the rain, which is it's talking about like nowadays, meaning in the spring, which today it's supposed to be like the spring, even though it felt like winter, right? It's in the days of Nisan and the days of Tishrei where you have both. One day you can have sun, one day you can have cold. And then you can have rain and you could have Tvash. So therefore, since it's like in the middle time, like spring, fall, so therefore it's possible that you will have honey in there, and it will not be muktza. Okay, just an interesting thesis here, right? Because see the thesis Rav Ashi. See, he says Mistamba. Third thesis was down. Right, Rav Ukva had asked this question to Rav Ashi before, right? But the Gemara first gives other tirutzim, and then it goes to Rav Ashi, right? So what's the pshat? Shouldn't it be out of order, right? But they put Rav Ukva's teretz first, and then they put Rav Ashi, right? Yeah. So that meaning it's even though Rav Ashi probably answered right away, but they decided to put Rav Ukva's teretz first. Either way, I think we could stop here because the next sugya it's a long Gemara, and it's late in Motzei Shabbos. So again, just to chazer the few rules that we learned with muktza. First of all, we had the kli rishon kli sheni with salt, and then the basic rules that we learned so far with muktza are that you cannot move a pot for something that's muktza, and that's the way we paskin. You're not allowed to move a pot for something that is going to catch muktza, because then that pot is going to be there it's going to be muktza the whole Shabbos. That was one shot, right? And what was Rabbi Yosef's shot? What is it? Yeah, you're being mevatel l'kli me'echani. I'm sorry, the first shot I said was Rabbi Yosef's shot, and then Rabbi Yitzchak's shot that it's ein kli nittel elo davar nittel. You can't take a pot only for something that can be taken, which are very similar rules. Which is basically you can't move anything on Shabbos for something that's muktza's sake. That would not be allowed. And all these cases where you're allowed to, so there's different tirutzim that the Gemara brings. Okay, a good vach and a good yar, and stay safe.
Isn't there the same idea between honey and spices, by the way? That honey like spices up something, like you add it to something. It's not something you technically eat alone.
Right.
So would you be able to like in this convoluted roundabout way that we went about this, would you be able to take it from a beehive and on Shabbos to like add to a tea or something like that?
Why not? Again, it depends. If it's the original stuff, meaning from the two honeycombs that they'd survive on a whole winter, then you'd have to have that honey in mind from before Shabbos. But if it's fresh honey, right? Unless you know that it was created on Shabbos, which would be a noilad issue, which I don't think they could create that much honey on Shabbos, then you could just take it out of there. Yeah, I don't see why not. Fresh honey. I don't see why not, unless somebody knows that it's only going to create that much honey on Shabbos.
I hear.
Yeah.
How did this tie in with coffee? There's a lot of halachos on Shabbos.
Well, coffee is really from the kli rishon kli sheni issue, really not so much in the.
Because no one, unless you're using one specific method of making it, no one does like a kli rishon where you're making the coffee on the thing that's sitting on the stovetop. Generally, you pour it over, or you have a machine or whatever, which you can't use like the push button stuff on Shabbos anyway. But
Right.
Generally I use like a cup that has all this the what do you call it, the filter. You put the coffee in, and then you pour it over. Once it's already, I pour it into klishini, and then I pour it over. So I'm not sure. Unless they're making it all at the same time. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Honestly, what are you trying to figure out?
How coffee came into this, honestly.
No, just can you make a coffee in a kli rishon or not?
All right.
No, so you can't. Well, the truth is, I'll tell you why. If you have instant coffee, can you put instant coffee into a kli rishon on Shabbos? It's cooked already. Instant coffee's cooked, as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean that's.
So theoretically, you can make instant coffee in a kli rishon on Shabbos. For a different reason, the place would say not to do it, but you do it in kli. You certainly don't need a kli shlishi of instant coffee. A lot of people are busy making instant coffee on a kli shlishi. You do not need a kli shlishi for instant coffee. Kli sheni is really enough. Only maybe the Chazon Ish holds our kli shenis are really kli rishon. Okay, but the point is that if something is fully cooked, then it can go into a kli rishon.
That can go into kli rishon. So theoretically, I could drop a. They started making these coffee packets as a tea bag. Theoretically, I could put that into a hot pot on Shabbos.
Well, are they? What do you call it?
It's
Are
cooked.
they pre-cooked?
Coffee's cooked. You can't.
No, I'm saying no. What? No, not pour over coffee's not cooked, right? What's it called?
Sure it is. 100%. You can't.
Roasted. No, it's roasted.
Okay, isn't that a type of
roasted?
Roasting is sure cooking. Why is that not cooking?
No,
Yeah.
Roasted is different. No, it has to be cooked with liquid. Roasted there is bishul achar afiyah. There is cooking after baking, right? If it's roasted, it doesn't. You can't do it. It's only if it's cooked.
on a kli rishon?
Yes.
On a kli sheni,
Yeah.
it's not an issue.
Kli sheni really it's not an issue. The machmirim hold you should really use a kli shlishi and cool it off a little bit. But if it's just roasted, yeah.
All I know is I made one for Rav David Feinstein. I'm okay. He's okay. And also, Rav Asher Weiss told.
What does that mean? How does he know how you made it?
Because he was at
He
Chaim
assuming you
Dahan's
knew.
house.
What?
Yeah.
He was at Chaim Dahan's house, and we schmoozed about it.
So he told you how to make it?
At that time I was selling really high-end coffee, and I offered the Rav some, and I told him exactly how I'm doing it. I said, I'll take a coffee, whatever.
I hear. Okay.
And Rav Asher Weiss told David Lobel that he could that having to pour over and stuff like that is fine too.
He didn't tell me he has to cool it down a little bit, or kli shlishi, or it's butter.
No, because it's not borer. It's not because it's not borer. There's nothing borer about it. You're not taking something from something else. You're pouring it right through. He said there's actually I don't know where he said it was at this point. I think he said it was in maybe Masechah Shabbos that there's a type of wine. They use the dredges from the bottom of the barrel, and they'll like pour water over it from through their hand or through whatever sieve or colander that they're using to get that wine. Again, I don't know. And he said that's like the equivalent to doing the pour over on Shabbos.
I hear. Interesting.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with Rav Asher Weiss, man.
Hey, you can't go wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
Each his own.
That's right.
All right.
All right, everybody.
All right. Zai gives an Tzviakov.
Yes.
I forgot to ask because we got excited because obviously we have nothing going on in our lives at this moment. My son's birthday was last week or whatever, and my mom bought something from Amazon, and it came on Shabbos. And in our excitement, and we knew it was not muktza, it was like little toy cars. And in our excitement, we opened the box and opened up everything and went, oh, right, it's Shabbos because whatever. Is there an actual issue with that, with doing that?
What? If a package comes on Shabbos, you can open it as long as you destroy the package.
Meaning what? What do you mean by
Meaning-
destroy the package?
Meaning you have a box, so if you open it the regular way, so now you just created a cleat with the box. So if you have to smash the box, so then it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Common question nowadays. Common question.
Yeah. We didn't even think about it. We generally just leave it to the side, but
Yeah. Yeah.
weird times we live in. All right.
That's
See you
right.
later.
All right, exactly.
Good luck.
Israel